Good morning, welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. That one's been sat on the side for a while, so it's perfect drinking temperature. Now that gorgeous model here in the background, we will get onto that topic in a moment. Anyway, today's topics are the Wiesel XP for James, so we will be looking at the throws and a little tip for you when it comes to the layout for the Wiesel XP. Now, if you've not seen the Wiesel XP, at the end of today's RC Coffee Chat, I will put a little block thing in the end slide, and it's called One Man and His Wiesel. Absolutely amazing slope soaring model, and if you've not seen that episode yet, you must go and watch it, because I had so much fun waiting for the lads to turn up on the slope. Anyway, the next topic is the WOMBAT! You'll find out about that in a moment. Smiles all round. The ALTI, which we had here in the background. I found this by accident earlier. Wow. We'll have a bit of a discussion about that in a moment. And the last topic is a little all-in-one camera with DVR recording, which is not seen one like that before, so we'll have a look at that in a moment as well. Right, on to topic number one is the Wiesel XP. Now, the Wiesel XP
engine off, low rate,
is a slope soaring wing from a company called EPP Modell. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a German-based company, and it is a little baby flying wing. And I can tell you, this is my firm favourite for slope soaring. It is absolutely amazing on the slope. It is batshit crazy. It is bonkers, and you can see from like the film hanging off the front of it, I fly this and abuse it a lot. Now, James, the reason, by the way, the reason why we got this episode, why I'm featuring this model in this episode, is for James. James has been and got one for himself, but these models are extremely sensitive to the elevator. So, James, I don't know how well you're going to see this. Maybe I should turn it around that way so you can have a look. That's low rates, and that is all the elevator I've got in there. And yes, I know that I've broken a servo on the left wing, but that's all the elevator I've got in the on this model, because that is, we compare that to left and right in the elevons. That's all I've got in the elevator. It is very, very twitchy, and I do have quite a lot of expo in mine. Now, in medium rates, is that you'll see that I don't have much more. In fact, I wonder if I can do that.
Low rates.
Yeah, I have exactly the same between between low rates and mid rates for the elevator. Obviously, for the ailerons, if I can do this, that is how much movement I have on middle rates for the elevons, and it's absolutely bonkers. But do watch the elevons, do watch the elevator. It is extremely twitchy, to say the least. And another little tip for you, you will need to make a fin. Just make it whatever shape you want. And I did get some carbon fibre rods. I did sand them down to make points on the end. And then in the model, and I really don't know how well you're going to see this on here, let me point that out, is that I got some antenna tube drilled down into the model, which was probably a really bad idea, but it kind of works in the end. I just had to put more glue in it and put some antenna tube down there, so that now I can put the fin in easily on the flight line, and it does fall out from time to time. That's normally on a unscheduled landing. And then another tip for you, James, is that what I've done on mine is put a bit of Velcro on that fin, and there's a bit of Velcro on the top of the model, so when I'm transporting it, the fin stays with the model. Now on the underside, I just made a little Velcro hatch, which is not particularly pretty. As we can see, the receiver is hanging out. These guts are hanging out underneath, and I've just made a little hatch in there. Now I did have to put quite a bit of nose weight in this one to begin with. Now the more I've flown it, another tip for you, James, is that if you see her bobbing, if you fly it inverted, and if you see it bobbing, the nose bobbing up and down, you know you've got it far too nose heavy. So I actually do need to take some lead out of this one. In the meantime, I've just rammed the battery all the way to the back. So yeah, Wiesel XP. I'll put a link. Well, I'll put the video called "One Man in His Wiesel" at the end of this episode. Absolutely mental slope soaring model. Mental. It is by far my favourite one, and I only have 3 for the slope. I've got the Wiesel XP bonkers model, and I also have a Zach Combat Wing, which has got far too much carbon fibre in it, and I've got Zach Speed Wing. But both of those bigger wings need quite a lot of airflow going on, but you can fly for all day and not even getting that battery even like half flat, and I spank the living daylights out of it every single time. Right, topic number 2, Wombat! Wombat! We have a Wombat! Look at that! She's glued up! So yesterday, this office absolutely stank of goop glue. It was like a goop glue drug dealer's den in here this morning. It absolutely stinked. But she's now glued up. We've got the tail fins on there. We've got the elevator fin on there. The booms are in. The fuselage is stuck down. And she is looking absolutely amazing. Now, a couple of things which I need to do. I do need to wire up the elevator servo. And underneath... what an idiot. Is that I thought I would need to extend the ESC wire, so I cut it off. And then actually the irony is that it was exactly the right length. So all good fun. So I like sharing my mistakes, so if you do something like that, do make sure that your servo leads do actually reach, and you might be surprised that they do actually make it to where your receiver is. Now, the receiver, I will be using a D4R2 underneath here, and the angles will be at 90 degrees for the 2 antennas, but they're going to be like offset because I'm worried about the amount of carbon fibre I've stuck in that wing. I've trimmed up the back end of her as well. It's not as steep or as on an incline as what perhaps it could have maybe have been, but I've just rounded that piece off, and I've also rounded the piece on the back just before it hits the motor as well, just to help with airflow over it too. Yeah, we're not that far away now. We are pretty damn close to paint. I'm going to need to insert those 2 leads out. I will need to put the heat shrink over the ESC to stop that getting painted. So while it is in paint, it's not going to get plastered. And then she will be ready for paint. So happy days. Well, I say ready for paint, but the missus can't find all the poster paints we got. So goodness knows what colour it's going to end up. But I can tell you, I really have, yeah, building it has been quite a good challenge. Each component has required quite a bit of planning, and then prior thought, and the one piece which has helped me the most with this model is pinning the model up to work out, like originally where the CFG was going to be, what the layout of the components was going to be. Now I am keeping the video transmitter on the top of the wing, and yes, I could have mounted the servos underneath, but just by the style of this model, it would have looked more visually attractive with the servos underneath, and the same for the FPV transmitter. But in reality is that this has got very, very low ground clearance underneath the wing, so it's better that we have the servos top mounted on here. And the video transmitter, it makes a lot of heat, so we need to get heat to rise. So if we put it underneath here, then it would be in its own little warm cozy coat, and would end up burning out. So I always put mine on the tops for maximum airflow. So we've got that there. But the receiver, it will be mounted underneath the wing, and of course once it's in, and it will end up getting covered with laminate anyway. So yeah, happy days. But yeah, each individual part has posed its own challenges. None of them, I hasten to add, have been hard. They are all straightforward. And the biggest shocker for me actually in this entire build was around these booms. It was EPP foam, and it was quite flexible. Putting 4 pieces of carbon fibre in it, 1 on each side, really did stiffen it up. Unbelievably stiff now. So yeah, paint, bit of wiring, laminate it, and we're away. Happy and days. So yeah, Wombat. Brilliant. Can't wait for that one. Next topic which we have is the Alti. Now, I don't know how I found this morning, but just look at that model. It looks absolutely amazing. It's a VTOL, so vertical takeoff and landing. It is military grey, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Now, the frame is being made out of carbon fibre, and by the way, I only know basic details about this from what I've looked at this morning, and I just saw that when I landed on their site. I saw that rear end, and it was like, wow, that is absolutely amazing. Look how thin the booms are in here as well. Absolutely fantastic. Now, there is a video on this one. I'll put that in the video description for you, so you can take a look at it. And there she is in the sky. It looks absolutely amazing. Obviously, completely out the price range for, I would say, probably all of us, to say the least. By the way, it's using a fuel engine in there, which was a curious choice, but flight times of around 6 hours. Unbelievable. So obviously designed for hardcore aerial mapping, while either civilian or military, but if we put that to one side, and it's probably cost the GDP of a small country to pay for that, but with that aside, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, there's no other words for it. And there is a video on this, and you can see it getting unboxed and getting it put together. And look, you can just tell by the grade of it. Look at that milled out container box with the foam in there. Someone's obviously CNC'd that out so that they can fit the components in. Wow. In short, absolute different league of everything, and I will put a link to that video in the video description for you. Unbelievable. And the last topic for today is a little DVR. These little all-in-one cameras. I'm sure you've seen me do reviews on these before. What was the latest one we did? The TX03. Really good little camera, that one. Really surprised. Didn't have as much fisheye as the TX02, and had decent light handling capabilities. When I did the review of the TX03, the question which I asked in that review was that, would you fly your quad in these lighting conditions? And it was dark and horrible that day, and the blunt answer from my point of view was, yeah, all those woods were fair game, and it was a horrible day here. It was probably overcast, and it just finished raining as well. Anyway, coming back onto the topic, these little all-in-one cameras are really starting to progress now, and I need to find a photo which points out the key detail on it, because we can't see it in any of those, which is well done, Banggood. We can't see that for pudding. Where is it? Where is it? There's one unique feature on this one which you can't hardly see, and I'm just scrolling down to see if we can spot it. No. Well done, guys. Really helpful. We can see it, but it's on that image there, and we can just see it on the side of here. Basically, you can fit in a micro SD card, and then on the back there's 4 buttons, which I have got no idea which button does which. Sorry, I'll tell you about. There are 3 buttons, and that's my head's probably sat on top of that. Apologies, but there are 3 buttons on the back of there, which will allow you to record DVRs. So maybe you've gone for a cheaper set of DVR FPV goggles, which I totally think you should do. Don't get me wrong, my fat shots are absolutely amazeballs, but the price point, bloody ridiculous. And I've got those VR007 FPV goggles, absolutely brilliant. The only 2 things I can say that those FPV goggles are missing is number 1, DVR recording, and number 2, a fan in the top. So when it gets misted up, especially in what's the weather supposed to be like today? Oh, 1 degree here in the United Kingdom. And yeah, that screen will quite easily mist up, so we could ideally do it with a fan in it. And the other thing which we're missing is a DVR. Now, a very sweet way of getting around that is that, of course, you could have a separate DVR recording device, but then that is kind of flawed because you don't have AV out on those goggles. And instead, what you could do is use one of these little all-in-one cameras and put your own SD card in there and then record it. I thought that was a really, really cool idea. Now, the only one thing which I can point out, which is like specification-wise, is it's a 520 TVL. So that's the number of lines in the picture. Now, whether, frankly speaking, anybody will notice that it's a 320 line camera or image, like quality image, is a whole different question. And my honest answer, my honest thinking is that probably not. But I've been and pre-ordered one. We'll find out when it gets here or when it comes into stock. We'll get it out and we'll see how it does. That's for sure. Now, it does record a bit of a strange one, actually. It does record, look at that, it's 720p, which is very curious because when it comes back on the DVR on the Fat Sharks, I think it's only like 480p, so much smaller. Now, because it's recording at the camera source, that's probably why we have a higher resolution on there. But then look, there's some video output resolution, yeah, 480p, so that's probably what we're getting via the wireless link. But the recording size is being done at 1280 by 720, so that's 720p, so not bad quality. Going to be very, very curious. That's why I'm bringing that one up as a topic for today. I pre-ordered it a couple of days ago. It does look like good fun. Whether it's any good or not, no bloody idea. We'll find out when it gets here. And right now, it's on pre-order for $29, which I don't think was too bad. So, if it's good, it's good. It's crap. It's crap. Don't know. Right, anyway, I've talked too much. In summary, we had a look at the Wiesel XP. Like I said, I will put a link, a little card at the end of this today's RC Coffee Chat at the very end. It'll be some green writing saying one man and his Wiesel. Brilliant little model. And then in that video, he's got all the details about it. Brilliant fun. And James, I hope those elevon movements helped you because they are damn wild in the sky. Brilliant fun. So we had a look at the Wiesel XP. Next up, we had the WOMBAT. Look at that. This thing is gonna be batshit crazy. And yes, I still have some carbon fiber to put in it. I do feel that I've got enough carbon in here. This is super rigid now. But I do think I'm gonna stick two pieces of carbon fiber down the top as well. Why not? I've got some here. Well, how much difference that makes, I got no idea. But it is like virgin foam there with no carbon in it, and it's like psychologically it's taunting me to put carbon fiber in it. So we'll put some carbon fiber in it just for shits and giggles. And the next topic was the Alti. I'll put a link to this website in the video description, and I'll put a link to their video in the video in this video description as well. And also the last topic which we covered was that little all-in-one FPV camera, but one with a bit of a quirk because it's got DVR recording ability on it, so that you can put your little micro SD card in it and record straight from the camera source. How good it is? No idea. We'll find out shortly. So on that note, for myself, Matt, if you are out flying today, have a fantastic day's flying. Fingers crossed it's not too cold out there and we do go out and get some flying. And if we do get any aerial footage, I'm sure everything will just be frosty white because the car is frozen to a rock out there at the moment. And if you're not out flying today, if I do manage to get out, I ensure you that I will put a battery in for you and spank the living daylights out of it. So on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for joining me for today's RC Coffee Chat. And that model is absolutely beautiful. Someone obviously spent a lot of time and effort designing that one. It's absolutely beautiful. Excuse me. Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, I'm off now. Thank you for joining me. I shall see you about the same time tomorrow. From myself, Matt, cheerios. Wow.